Hi, my name is Samantha Corpus, and the play that I chose to do was in The Social Dance by Wakako Yamachi for THE2000 Fall 2020. My ruling idea is in And the Social Dance by Wakako Yamachi, the author explores the struggles of two Japanese families living in the United States during the 1930s. It attempts to show the issues Japanese immigrants faced trying to survive in white America during the Great Depression. Act 1, Scene 1. During the exposition in the opening scene, I want the audience to feel the tension within the family and their home life. So it shows the Murata kitchen, and for the kitchen table, I've chosen a square wooden, rustic looking table along with the rustic chairs to give the feel of back then and how they were living in their home. My second picture I do show is another wooden table with rustic looking wooden chairs, and it shows the kitchen depiction as well with the wooden panel floors and the wooden panel roof along with the kitchen, which is a simplistic theme. Also in Act 1, Scene 1, I do depict the wooden floors, which are a bit dirty like, so as you can tell from the play that they're living in a small cabin-like cottage, so it's not the best living circumstance. It is a bit tiny and not too new polished looking. Also, I've chosen a vintage 1930s stove in the house, which is very small and has a panel like cabinet that you can use as a cabinet top. So it's very old looking and used back then a lot. I also chose for the bed, there is one bed that is in the living room slash kitchen as well, and it's a metal bed frame that I chose just due to being back then that they did have a lot of metal framed beds that they use especially for the working class, and it was much cheaper to obtain, so I chose two pictures that depicted that, a bit rustic looking as well. Also, for the calendar hanging up on the wall, I chose two different ones. So one was an American traditional simple calendar, which was just the month and the days. And the other that I chose was a Japanese calendar because maybe I thought from their culture that they brought it to America. It doesn't specify which kind of calendar it is though, but I thought that maybe it could be a Japanese one, just bringing their culture alive. So also bringing back to the way that their walls and the floors look, it is wooden is what I've chosen, and it's a bit older looking. I got a cabin cottage kind of vibe from it, and one of my pictures is a key image of the Murata house. It's small, and you can see on the left there is a rustic metal looking like bed with a few chairs that are wooden and just a window. Act 1, Scene 2, during the rising action, when Oka and Amiko show complication in themselves and their relationship, the audience should feel sympathetic towards especially Amiko because the way that Oka seems to treat her and blames her, well, a bit for the death of his previous wife, which is her sister, and just the living situation is a bit harsh because it's not the life that she did want. So for the house of the exterior of their house, I've chosen a dirty looking wood paneled house with one screen door and one screened window with a lot of branches around it, surrounded by nothing. So I have one key image for that, and a second look-alike of what I think the house would look like as well, with the wood panels, cottage-like. So again, for the window of the Oka house, it's an old screen-like window, just one simple look-like window. Also with the screen door outside the Oka house, it is a bit dirty and old, just seeming like the house has been there for a few years and time has passed it. Okay, also outside the Oka house, they do talk about a wooden bench, so I chosen a hand-carved wooden bench just to show the authenticity of the wood that maybe was built by somebody just due to the way that they were living, and mostly they had to survive for themselves, so it's kind of a survival item. And then next I chose a wooden single chair with a taper back design, That's outside the Oka house as well. And then I chose a 1930s portable crank Victrola phonograph that was played in that outside scene as well. And it's a small black one, a bit old-like. And then the lantern hung on the exterior lit wall at the Oka house. That you can see that they have to light it with a match. It's very old-fashioned looking and small. And in Act 2, Scene 1, they do speak about the old books on the table and the Japanese magazines that were a bit torn up. And during the climax, the tension rises in the Oka and Emiko's relationship. The audience should feel suspense and deception. And I chose a picture about a metal can, which is where Emiko had money in it that Oka had stole for Kamiko's living expenses and clothes and new things and such. And there was a bit of tension in that, so the metal can did show a lot. Act 2, Scene 6, during the resolution, the audience should feel a sense of relief and hope for the character Emiko, just due to her wanting to be free from the situation that she's living in. So I did choose a scene picture of a sunset with a desert and a shrub in it as she dances away. So just set the scene as well in the mood. And also I did put the traditional wind chime, which is called a furin, that was hung up in the Murata house, given by Kyoko. And it just all gives a sense of hope for the character Emiko in the end.